Oh, Lordy Jesus, look at that. It's fascism. It's evil. It's the rebirth of Adolf Hitler. Oh, Lordy, look at the red, look at the black. We're doomed. Yeah, except, yeah, it's photoshopped. Yeah, it's red, blue, red, white, and blue. Red light, white light, blue light. Of course, it doesn't matter because they knew if they framed it like that, they framed the camera shot like that, it would be just red and black. Of course, it wouldn't be that black because if you look at the fucking image, what they've done is they've photoshopped out the white part of it. Red, white, and blue. It's more dramatic, I guess. Hi, folks. How are we doing? I am Scott. That is Bo. That is Cricket down there sitting next to Bo. She is a mean cat. Today we're going to talk about division. And all the division that stemmed from this ridiculous fucking speech Joe Biden gave yesterday. Let me just check and make sure we are recording, and we are. I'm going to make a short video because my BitChute channel hasn't put up my moon stuff. I tried twice yesterday, and it's been about 24 hours now. And neither one of them has gone up. I look old. Holy shit. Let me turn this on. Try to see if the lighting can help. There we go. At least half of my face looks fucking human. I got to get one of those fucking ring light things. Quick note. One of my Patreon people, I have no idea what's going on here. One of my Patreon people says, why'd you send me $10? Turns out his Patreon pledge is $10, and Patreon gave him, apparently, somehow or another, from me, $10. I was supposedly paid out last night. I pushed a little button that said you've been paid out. I got the email saying I've been paid out, and $160 has been sent to my account. However, it did not show up in my account this morning, which is odd. And then this guy contacts me and says, why'd you send me $10? Turns out, I had to do a little research, but turns out that was his Patreon pledge to me. So I'm wondering if Patreon hasn't sent anybody else theirs. So if you are a Patreon and you see nothing in your Patreon account from my account, then let me know. If you are a Patreon and you see something in your account from my Patreon, then please let me know that as well. Need to know. Not a big deal. It's not going to cripple me one way or the other this month. I'm fine financially right now, so I'm good. But it is, I'd like to know what's happened with it. Could just be, it needs to sit in limbo, in big bank fucking limbo, drawing interest, either with their bank or my bank or whoever's bank. Could very possibly be that. However, there is a question about what happened with this individual and why, what happened with that individual. So we'll get past that. Just let me know. As you know, I got to show you this. This is funny. Someone did a really nice thing here. Watch this.
He sees as the MAGA Republicans are the most energized part of the Republican Party. This is an extreme threat to our democracy, to our freedom, to our rights. They just don't respect the rule of law. He sees as the MAGA
says a person working for a dude who has, 38% approval rating. I don't think that's in the majority, to tell you the truth. So she works for somebody who's a fucking extremist, I guess. Also, talking about respecting the rule of law. Last I checked, we were still stealing fucking oil from Syria. Last I checked. Talking about respecting the rule of law. We're fucking sending money hand over fist and all kinds of fucking weapons into a country so it can continue bombing their own fucking civilians in Donbass and elsewhere now because they speak Russian or they're ethnic Russians. I don't know if that's respecting the rule of law or not, but she hardly has room to talk. I like the clown makeup someone did on her. It's quite funny. Who was that clown from Sideshow Bob? She's got a Sideshow Bob look going with that haircut too. Is that her hair or is that someone did a Sideshow Bob hair on her? I don't know. Either way. So this thing last night got everybody excited. Oh, Lordy God. He basically came out and said the 78 million people who voted for Donald Trump, the MAGA side of the fucking Republican Party, in this country, are extremists. Or, as he put it, near fascist. Is that like near beer? Near fascist. Near fascist. They didn't tell you why they're pissed off really at the near fascists, only that they somehow oppose the fucking majority. Well, because, and that makes them fucking extremists. Well, I guess I guess what he's saying is the majority are full fascist. Or at least well on the way to becoming so. And they can't have that. We can't have those half-steppers. We need full fascists. You're going to commit to the goddamn thing. You're going to commit to it, goddammit. Just like, apparently, Joe Biden who did. Of course, listen, this is show. This is a show. This is a theatrical production. You haven't figured that much out yet. You haven't figured out anything. Yeah, they've got red, white, and blue, but the prominent color is red. And they knew when they took pictures that his body and that podium would pretty much, due to foreshortening, or whatever the fucking terminology is when you take pictures and someone's in the foreground, would pretty much cover up the white part. So what you will be left with is something like that, if you have a little photoshopping going on there. That's by design, folks. That's absolutely 100% clearly by design. They wanted this framing so it could be used by people like, well, I don't know, Tucker Carlson, Fox News, Moon of Alabama, all sorts of people. To frighten you. Oh, be scared. Oh, be afraid. Be afraid of what? The leftists. And what are the leftists being told to be afraid of here? This is a great fucking moment. What are the leftists being told to be afraid of? Oh my God, be afraid of those 78 million people who voted for Trump. They're near fascists. They're extremists. Be afraid, be afraid, be afraid, be afraid, be afraid. Don't pay attention to the other shit going on. Pay attention to this. And this is the lengths to which they will go to facilitate that kind of divide and conquer agenda. These people aren't different. These people aren't. There's no. In terms of foreign policy, the differences between Biden and fucking Trump are minimal. Did we give back the people of Syria their fucking land that was stolen by the fucking Kurds because we fucking helped them facilitate the theft of half of a country under the Obama administration? Did Trump give it back? No, Trump continued to steal the oil just like he continues to steal the oil. There's no change in policy there, boys and girls. How about Ukraine? Shit, we started that in 2014. Did Trump change anything about that? No. He helped facilitate it. He helped send fucking weapons at an accelerated pace into fucking Ukraine. He wasn't any different in fucking foreign policy. How many Latin American countries did he try to overthrow? Number one, Guaido. Trump wasn't any different. in terms of foreign policy. They have a few minor differences in terms of what's happening in the United States right now in terms of domestic policy. But let me ask you a question. Everyone, including Joe Biden, said, holy Jesus, you can't knock down the minimum fucking corporate tax rate from 28% to 21%, Trump. Trump is like, oh, it's going to trickle down. We're going to trickle down all over the people. Didn't trickle down, did it? And of course, the Democrats, they were like, oh my God, oh, it's the end of the fucking world. Oh, you can't do that. Oh, it's terrible. You're helping big corporations. What did he do a month ago? He dropped it from 21 to 15. People, stop it. You know, folks like this guy, Hotep Jesus. Oh my God, look at that. He's hard. He's serious. Sitting there with his MAGA hat on and his red bandana. I don't know what that means. Shout out to all my MAGA friends, because Trump said bad stuff about MAGA people being fascists. And so here he is, all hard and shit. I got my MAGA hat on, just playing into the same fucking bullshit. Just playing into the same fucking bullshit. You understand what a symbol is? Symbols are powerful things. They mean something. And at a glance, if you have the right symbol, like say a swastika, or maybe fucking Jon Stewart would have been interested to know what was under that man's fucking wrapping on his fucking left arm. Turns out it was a Nazi symbol of the black sun tattooed to his elbow. Why is that interesting? Because that's a symbol that's used by the Azov Battalion. Straight up fucking Nazis. This guy is a trainer at a UFC fight, Ukrainian, and he has the black sun symbol on his elbow. Here's another one. Being honored via the Azov Battalion. You have fresh new faces, and you have the old fucking veterans. What's that on his fucking elbow, boys and girls? Ladies and gentlemen. That's right. So I get my cursor out the way. What is that? That is the black sun. Symbols mean something. They were important enough, in this case, this man's case, being honored at an event sponsored by the Pentagon, featuring Jon Stewart and Disney. This fucking straight up real Nazi from Ukraine was honored. But because they know what fucking symbols mean and the strength of them and the power of them, they decided to cover up his fucking arm before a Jewish person congratulates him on stage at Disney World. Symbols mean something. They mean something. You go to the world of Italian fascism. That is the emblem of the National Fascist Party. That is an axe wrapped in reeds, bound in leather straps. It's called a fasces. And that is the symbol. It's Roman. But also, it's not Roman. The idea is, in many there is strength. But the many are all tied together. That symbol, boys and girls, is the national symbol, the emblem of the National Fascist Party, created by a guy by the name of Mussolini, who, by the way, claims to have written, has his name signed to this work, this work called The Doctrine of Fascism. It was actually Giovanni Gentile who wrote it. It was published under Benito Mussolini's name in 1933. We'll get back to that in a second. Symbols are powerful. They have meaning. That's inside the House of Representatives' main chamber. The third most powerful person in line in succession in the United States sits between two symbols of fascist power. Symbols have meaning. That's the House of Representatives. And that, boys and girls, is what that means. This has always been a fascist state. To some degree, it's always been a fascist state. Now, of course, that was built and those were installed before Mussolini came to power. But the symbolism of them from the Roman days, they don't represent, let's just say they mostly represent Caesar's Rome and not the Senate's Rome. Let's just put it that way. This was Gentile, and he was really the father. Benito Mussolini was considered the father of modern fascism. However, Gentile probably really was the actual father in terms of the ideology that Mussolini adopted and promoted. We talk about what's going on right now with our country and why does it seem so foreign to us. There's an interesting quote in this section here on the Wikipedia. I know it's Wikipedia, but it's still just a quote. It's a quote from, I think it was Mussolini or one of the others, talking about art. They were great lovers of art, the fascists in Mussolini's fascist Italy. They were great lovers of art. But the art that was being created, part of their ideology was, what we have to do is we have to tie in the classical and the historic, our classical and historic art, Italy's. But we want to weave into it threads of the current and where we're going. That was part of their philosophy. We can't just honor the past. We have to do so while making sure that we put into that image or statue or something the idea of the new fascist fucking government and the people of Italy and where we plan to be going in the future. And that was a doctrine or a mandate that they put forward in terms of artists in Italy at the time. And I wondered, when I read that, I looked back and said, wait a minute, what are they doing now with a lot of our art and remaking a lot of films and taking a lot of existing fucking franchises? I don't know. Like, say, Rings of Power. What do the people tell you who made Rings of Power? What do they tell you? They say that's all great and good, but what we want to do is we want to take these classics and we want to be able to see ourselves in them. We want to make them more representative of what we are now and where we are going. Fascism is a religion. It is not just an economic ideology. It is economic, it is social. Obviously, it is political. Quote, Gentile defined fascism as an anti-intellectual doctrine, epistemologically based on faith rather than reason. Let me stop for a second. It's an anti-intellectual doctrine based on faith rather than reason. Trust the science. The science is settled. There's no more debate of the science. Science, by definition, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, is debate. It is continual debate. It never fucking stops. It never fucking rests. It never sits back and says, okay, that's it, done. Science is always moving forward, questioning itself. You have to be able to question the science. Otherwise, you're not doing science. What are you doing? Gentile defined fascism as an anti-intellectual doctrine, epistemologically based on faith rather than reason. Fascist mysticism emphasized the importance of political myths, which were true not as an empirical fact, but as a meta-reality. As a meta-reality. The importance of political myths. All sorts of political myths. We live in a time, the meta-reality, the metaverse. We live in a time when we are being transitioned. I said yesterday in a video, the early video, which did get published on BitChute, I said yes, showed you two different examples of people talking about using the electric grid to bring about the transition, and of course the economy to bring about the transition. It's not just economic. It's also social and political and ideological. The idea that the political myth, even beyond fucking trust the science, the political myth that your constitutional rights don't exist, when someone declares that there is a great pandemic, a great threat to us all, and so your autonomy, your rights to autonomy no longer exist. That's a political myth, not just one in terms of your physiological body. I mean, your bodily autonomy. That is a political myth. There's a sense of greater good. The greater good ideology. What is that? If you would have visioned that, that is a X, which is the strength of the party or the establishment, and it is supported by, strengthened by, a whole bunch of little reeds all around it, wrapped with leather fucking bindings to make it super strong. That's the greater good. That's the ideology. And the myth, the idea that you can't challenge the myth. There's a guy from, I don't know where he was from. He sounds like he was Russian, maybe, talking to somebody. It's a video that's out there now. He's talking about how they have to have the, what is that fucking phrase that Joe Rogan used, or somebody used talking to Joe Rogan, about conditioning people, psychologically conditioning people, in order to create a quote-unquote totalitarian government. And he said this has to happen. This has happened before, and of course, people, it was fucking Tucker Carlson. And Tucker Carlson, of course, then listed all the leftist places where that happened and took place. In the past, this is what's happening here today. Clearly, what's happening here today. But what they always forget to tell you is that it also happens in right wing. He called the Spanish Revolution or the Russian Revolution, one of the two, Spanish or Russian, both probably, examples of how totalitarian governments came to be because people were conditioned to believe certain things. Of course that's happening here today. Of course that's happening now. But it doesn't just happen on the right or the left, which is what I'm trying to explain, which is what this whole fucking video is all about. Hotep Jesus wearing his hat like this and his mean look. I'm a tough guy. That's all well and good. But that's picking tribes. That's tribalism. Just like people out there screeching about how we should lock up Donald Trump, that's also tribalism. These are myths. The reality is, we are a fascist fucking country. Just pure and simple, we are 100% fascist country, have been for quite some time. Here you go. Democrats calling out Republicans, extremists like ISIS calling out Al-Qaeda extremists. Democrats are fucking extremists. Republicans or MAGA people are fucking extremists. The only real fucking extremists out there are the leaders in both parties. Because in the end, they're the ones screwing us over, destroying the fucking economy on purpose, making us ready for that great transition that they've been promising their owners that they would do their part to bring about. They're the ones financing and then proudly supporting real fascist Nazis. And it wasn't just the Biden administration since this thing kicked off. It was throughout the Trump administration. They were constantly fucking arming these people and training these people, making ready for what happened at the beginning of this year. It's the normalization of fascism. And we see it everywhere we fucking look. I tell you that the rings of power, the idea of it, and the presentation of it is not just mildly racist or woke. It is, at its core, fascist. Remake our history. Redo the classic art, either literature in this case or film, in a way that now better reflects where we are today and where we wish to go. That's a fascist ideology. As is the idea when they keep telling you over and over again to trust the science. Don't question the science. The science is settled. These are fascist political myths. They are political myths. The idea that there are multiple genders, they are putting us in a situation where this is a meta-reality. This is a meta-reality. Aside from the fucking thing the goddamn what's-his-face is doing from Facebook, this is a meta-reality. There are no norms anymore. There are no rules. There are no laws of physics. Fascism is not just an economic ideology. It is political, it is social, and it is religious. This is their religion. And so people will, once they accept it, once they are indoctrinated into it, in all aspects of it, and they are living in the meta-reality, it's like the guy on fucking Tucker Carlson said. At that point, then you can get people to do things. You can get them to jump on the back of trucks at 3 o'clock in the morning, like they did in India, and drive around and pick up the leftists and the socialists, drag them out of their homes, kicking and screaming, and if their kids or their wives get in the way, to beat them and kill them. These are fucking brown shirts. And brown shirts didn't just exist in Germany, boys and girls. They existed all over, wherever we fucking installed this fascist ideology and doctrine and political situation, political structure. They did that places like India. They did that places like Indonesia. They did that in places like Chile. As the guy on Tucker Carlson said, typically in these situations, when you have this kind of thing develop, you only get about 35% who actually really buy into it. And the rest of the population, for the most part, the rest of the population say, but for the most part, what they do, as they see the 35% dragging people out of their houses at 3 o'clock in the morning and maybe killing the fucking kids and their wife as well, who knows? What they do is they just go, oh, okay. They go to the fucking 2 minutes hate fucking sessions every day to make sure they're seen. And they scream just as loud as the true believers sitting right next to them. Because they have to. Because if they don't, they'll get a visit at 3 o'clock in the morning. And that is my dog making that weird noise behind me, and I have no idea what it is. He's probably thinking about snitching me out. Tucker Carlson again went on last night and told people not to worry about this shit because they're so fucking stupid, because the Biden administration people are so stupid. Let me give, and again, this could also be by design, but let me give a little fucking hint to Tucker's producers and writers. If you're going to do that and you're going to talk about how stupid everybody in his administration is, don't just show his female black press secretary and his female black vice president being stupid. Try to incorporate some others. Otherwise, now again, that could be by design, more divide and conquer shit. I don't fucking know. But it damn sure seems a little racist and sexist. I'm sorry, because they're both African American. I didn't mention that part. That's not really the case. Again, he's pretending as if the press secretary does anything other than read what's right in front of her, and she's got to read it right in front of her because she's young. And they write shit for her to make her look worse. And then, of course, the vice president, Kamala Harris, just says stupid shit when she talks off the cuff. And no one in her circle says, that's pretty fucking stupid. No one in her inner circle says, you probably shouldn't have said that's kind of stupid. Because she flies off the handle and fires them. Can't have negative fucking reinforcement. Can't have any constructive criticism. No, can't do that. However, that said, if you think those two do anything, are in charge of any kind of policy, you're an idiot. Again, they're just actors, basically. Like Biden, like Trump was. At least Trump came right out and told you when he first, got elected, he's going to hire people to do all this stuff, and smart people, and the best people, and the good people. And he hasn't got to do shit. That's how we wanted to do it, and that's what he did. Well, that's what every president does. You can go back to maybe Nixon. Nixon had some influence. When Tucker Carlson tells you not to worry about or his audience not to worry about this shit, as I just showed you, there's really good reason to worry about this shit. They keep this term. It didn't when I used to write, and I would write and you use the term fascist. I would get a bunch of comments, oh my God, you use that word. Now that's the F word. That word's used more than the word fuck. People use the word fascism are fascist more than the word of curse. It's tossed around all over the fucking place. You're a fascist, you're a fascist, the party's a fascist, your party's a fascist. We're a fascist state. They're both fascist. And they're working harder to get more fascist, as I just showed you, in the process of getting more fascist. And calling each other fascist. What that does is that just normalizes the term. Eventually, the general population, like the press secretary says, the general population will be fascist. And anybody who is not will be extremist. And if for some fucking reason Tucker Carlson thinks, hey, there's no problem with that, don't worry, they're stupid, he's a moron or he's a liar. Because the reality is you should be concerned about that. You should be very concerned about that. Because we don't treat extremists well in this country. We just don't. And whenever in these other countries, like Indonesia, like India, like Chile, whenever, like Ukraine, whenever somebody's determined to be a extremist, they don't fare well either. And if you think those three people, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and whatever her name is, Jean-Pierre, if you think they're the ones making policy, and you haven't got to worry because they're stupid, you're stupid because they're not making policy. People who sit behind the curtain, the Wizard of Oz, he's making policy, and he's not stupid, and he knows exactly what he's doing and exactly where they want this country to go. So I wouldn't laugh it off and chuck it off and yuck it off and show stupid videos of the press secretary or Kamala Harris saying dumb shit. I'd be more concerned with the people who are actually making the fucking policies and what they're saying. And maybe go to Jackson Hole and dig up the videos from that this year and take a look at that conference. And you'll realize there's some real fascist shit these people are saying. And they're not stupid. So yeah, you should be very concerned about that crap. Very concerned about that crap. Anyway, if you are a Patreon and either they have or they haven't, you haven't got to put in, maybe in a comment, just say have it, whatever, if you would be so kind. If they have returned money to you, if they haven't returned money to you, don't put numbers. It's not important. But I'd like to know if there's anybody else that this has happened to. Just because I'd like to know if Patreon has screwed up something else once again. They have a history. Anyway, I thank you guys very much for your time, and I will talk to you later. And Bo jumps up on that cue. You going to be in the video this time, or you going to fucking run by the door and just show me your butt like yesterday? Bo? Can you get up here? You can get up here. Say hi. Piece of shit.